another episode of Josh and Kelly. We are heading to the beach today. Well, not the beaches, and we're going to the beach, but the beach area, heading down to kind of Lewis in the shops because Kelly wants to do some shopping. We're going to let her do some shopping and get a walk in as well, and then kind of go from there. And the end of this video is going to have a little something different for us, a bit of a reflection on our first 3 months in van life and what that really is like for us. So, welcome and enjoy. So, I have just dropped Kelly off here at the Tanger Outlets down here in Rehoboth. She was looking in particular for a sweatshirt for herself. So this, like 2 weeks leading up to Christmas, is madness. Oh my goodness, there's like people and cars and pedestrians everywhere. This place is just jam-packed. And this has got to be, my guess would be, every man's nightmare. You know, men aren't particularly, this is a generalization, yes, and I get this, but men aren't particularly, you know, good shoppers or don't like shopping. I certainly don't. So to be here in this madness is like the worst of the worst. So Kelly loves it, so she's here, seeing what she can find. And I'm going to try and just down the road here, around the corner, there's, I think, a trailhead for a trail system we got here. So I'm going to try and get there and take Sophie for a walk while Kelly is here shopping. That's the idea, at least. If I can get there, and also if there's space. So, yeah, that's the plan. But yeah, this is madness. Ugh. Shoot me now. Okay, so we managed to find a park here. This is actually the trail parking, but they've got some sort of a Christmas event thing happening here. You got slides, and displays, and all that. But they let us in here for free because they're charging for all this parking and for this event. But they've let us in here for free because we've come in for the trail. But I don't know really what it's like, but we're gonna find out. But we're gonna try and steer as far away from all that as we can. But this one is really pulling me. She's really anxious to get out here on this trail and get moving. So I'm don't have a whole lot of opportunity to film otherwise. But we'll see what this trail's like. And I gotta let Kelly know where we're going, what we're doing. But this is the trail here. So this is what the trail is turning out to be like, which is nice. It's a nice trail. It's graded, of course. A lot of bicycles and stuff come down here, but it's not a bad trail. And you can see this direction as well, a little bit easier. It's pretty flat, so it's not a whole lot of ups and downs or any of that. And then there's all the, in this case, wood and stuff it's going through and other sort of fields. So it's all good. And Miss Soph is a hard one to keep a track of because she blends in so well with all these dead leaves. But yeah, hopefully it'll be a nice walk. And I just spoke to Kelly on the phone. She's doing her thing. She's finding bargains. She's happy. But yeah, again, definitely not my thing, but it is definitely her thing. I would rather be out here in the cold walking her on this trail than in those shops. I'm just saying. So I'm trying to walk until this one gets tired or too cold. I think too cold is more likely of the two to be the issue. So we're just going to sit here for a minute and, hey, don't eat that. Stop her from eating deer poo while I wait for the cycle to pass us, which he just passed us. So now we can come back on the trail here and keep her away from mischief. As if that's easy to do. Right, Miss Mischievous one? All right, let's keep walking. All right, we are off the trail now, down this little power line. We met a little bit of an impasse. There's a creek here and a big wide section there, so we're not gonna be able to get across it. But I was just thinking as we were down here that maybe we've misnamed Sophie. I think we should have named her Forrest Gump. Because anywhere she goes, she seems to be running. So like, I'll call her back and she'll go running ahead, sprinting around. Come on, girl. See? She's a Forrest Gump. Everywhere she goes, she's running. She doesn't sit still, she just runs everywhere. So maybe we've misnamed her. But she's got energy. I think it's only the cold that's going to send us back. Because she doesn't seem to tire. Especially in this kind of walking where she's off leash and able to sniff and do what she wants. So we're back on the trail here, and there's lots of trail all along here, but I think we'll go back and get some lunch because she's getting cold and I'm getting hungry. So we are heading back to the van, but decided to take a little detour, side trip. We're walking around the outside of this field here. She's smelling for things, especially for deer. When she smells, we are literally right here behind the outlets. That's the outlets right there. So we are literally right behind them by this field. And she is, I don't know if you can see her, running ahead, of course, all the way up there, smelling for whatever it is that she thinks she's gonna find. In particular, deer, I think. So I'm gonna let her do that for a little bit, and then we're gonna head back to the van and get some lunch. So we have made it back to the van, and about to feed this 4-footed critter. But I think she was getting a little bit cold. She's looking for the warm spots now, but I didn't leave the heater on when I left, so it's not super warm in here. It's about 66 degrees. So there aren't any real warm spots, but I will have to get some for her and get it going for her. So then we'll feed her. So Kelly has just come back from shopping. Some of her purchases, you can see they're hanging on the back of the seat.
I needed sweatpants, and my jacket was falling apart, so I got like a little versatile hoodie to go in and out of the gym when I'm showering, and I needed something warm to slip on and off for the winter to like just run in and out of the gym. So sweatpants. Hanes was having like 70% off this week.
So she did some shopping, and now she has a fresh salad which she just made, and so she comes in, she got to this, and she says to me, she says, I got new clothes and I got some nice fresh food here. I'm so happy, I don't even need to fart to be happy.
So that's an inside joke between us, because I said that because
letting all of our secrets out here, telling our inside jokes.
One day I was in a lot of discomfort in my abdomen region, and I was like, oh my gosh, if I could just pass gas, I would be so happy. So now, if and when that happens, John's like, are you happy? And sometimes afterwards, I feel so happy now.
But evidently she's just as happy now with a salad.
And some comfy new sweats.
And some comfy hang around the house kind of stuff.
Did you tell them we were at the outlets?
Yes.
Yeah. There's 1 million people here, but they're having...
Oh, they saw it already.
They're having huge sales. So I was like, instead of going for the walk, I'm like, hey, let's put my good idea pants on. How about you drop me off? I just feel like I never get a chance to shop, so...
Yeah. Because, in all fairness, when Kelly shops with me, I shop so different from her. I'm a in, out, done. I know what I want beforehand. I go straight to it. I buy it and I'm out. Whereas Kelly is I gotta touch everything in this shop, otherwise it's not a successful, expedition. And that's not how I do it. So when she's with me, I'm like, come on, let's go. And she's like, I haven't looked at this. I want to look at that. And I haven't touched this. So we have very different shopping styles. And so for her to be on her own, I think it's kind of rare. And she loves it because I think I cramp her style.
I always tell him.
Oh no. Go ahead.
Sometimes I like before we moved in the van. And even now, because I'm working, he does a lot of shopping. But I used to tease him and say, I love you too much to go shopping with you.
True, I used to do a lot of shopping
and like even grocery store, it's like I I'm slow. I want to look at stuff. I want to touch, and I'm like get everything that we didn't come in for. And so it's like very different in that area.
Whereas me, I can do a full week's grocery shopping and be in and out in 10 minutes, depending on the line at the cashier. I am bang, 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 done. Kelly doesn't even get to the groceries within 10 minutes. She's still looking at the makeup and moisturizers and everything else. She doesn't already make it 3 steps in the door. So we have a very different way of shopping.
But it's all good.
It is all good. We know it. So you get to go you and do your stuff, and then I do mine my way, and we're both happy. Without farting.
Just wanted to show you the evening sky. We're just finding the spot to park. It's really pretty.
So we are making a cup of tea, and Kelly, in all her patience, had to try my dessert.
No, I didn't. All I did was said.
So that's Kelly's. What'd you get, Kelly?
I just like the icing. Jewish apple cake.
And that's mine, which is a carrot cake. We got them from Rosenfeld's, the Jewish deli, and I am looking forward to it. I mean, to give you an idea of size,
you can't even imagine how heavy that
put your
is.
hand next to that so they can see how big that is. That's a big piece of cake.
It's dense.
It's dense and it's heavy.
This looks really good too.
Yum, yum, yum.
I forgot to get whipped cream though. We should have asked.
That's right.
Forgot to buy some at the store.
Yeah.
I like desserts with my whipped cream. I haven't had whipped cream in, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Months?
We'll survive for today. That water's boiled already. Wow.
This induction stove is amazing.
It is good. It boils water so quick, heats things up. So, all right, we're gonna have some tea and dessert.
Tell them how much this 2 pieces of dessert cost.
2 pieces. Her cake and my cake cost $24, and I think mine was $20. I think hers was $4. It'll be worth it.
I wanted to be mad, but I just bought some clothes. So what can I say?
She was happy. There was no reason for her to be grumpy.
I tried to be. Look, Josh, did you eat the whole thing?
I did. It was worth it. That was delicious.
He ate that whole thing in one sitting.
Big as my hand. But
Got quite a talent there.
Oh, I'm very talented in some areas. Evidently that's one of them.
I shared mine with Sophie like I always do, but she's sitting here waiting, but I don't think she's getting a thing from Josh today. How are you?
Daddy is not sharing a beautiful $20 carrot cake with you. I'm sorry. Not happening. It's all Daddy's, okay? I'm sorry about that. Other things I share. I shared the sandwich I had for lunch with you. But no carrot cake. No. No. It's all Daddy's. Sorry. All gone. It's all done. No more. Now that lovely dessert is out of the way, not that it was in the way, it was fully enjoyed, but now that we have finished it, we can get on. We have actually, we made a list as we were driving of some of the things that we have found different from what we expected, whether good or bad, or different from what we have experienced so far when we were doing van life part-time. So now that we've been doing full-time van life for 3 months or so, we have noticed a few things. And so we thought we'd just share them with you and talk about them briefly. And I'm going to let Kelly start because a lot of them are things that she has come up with and things that she has known or noticed. So I will let her talk about them and I'll add my 2 cents on things that are important to me.
first and foremost, I want to say it's a whole different experience with the cold weather. Up until then, just, no matter how many times we were running around in and out in the morning, it didn't bother me at all. But with the cold recently, because, we have to go in and out to the gym, to use the facilities, to shower, to work out, and then that has been different. And one of the things with that has been regulating the temperature for the van. And the Webusto heater that we have, I don't know if you can see it in here, but it's on now. It's under the seat, the passenger seat. And it's
blowing at me right now. It's nice.
And this is where I sit when I work, but we have the two fans. And this fan is always bringing in cool air, and that fan's bringing out, the stale air. So no matter what the temperature is, these fans are open, and Josh won't close them. He just wants to keep air circulating. Because I've tried.
If it gets really cold, I would.
Yeah.
But it's not super cold. If the heater was no longer able to keep up with these fans, even though they're on low, they're on the number one setting. Both this one that's pushing air in as well as the other one pulling air out. But if it got cold enough where the heater was not able to keep up with this, we would then close them. We just haven't got to that point yet. And we've been down to last weekend, last video you saw, it was like 15 degrees or something that one morning. So we can handle it pretty cold in here without even having to turn off the fans. But it's nice to have them going for the fresh air effect. But it does mean if you're sitting here where Kelly is most of the time, it's almost directly over you, coming right down on you. So that can make things more difficult. And not to steal your thunder, you go ahead.
And then you have the hot air blowing on you. But the way the heater is designed, they want you to put it at higher temperature. So we literally place it at 95 degrees because something to do with the coils. You want to make sure they always blow out. So it's not like you can just put it down and run it. You could, but it wouldn't be ideal for longevity of the heater to put it at 72, where it'd be more regulated.
That's a real technical thing. I won't get into all the details of it, but it has to do with the burn chamber and carbon buildup, if that's your thing. So we run it on high to burn it clean every time, which is why we don't set it on 70 degrees and just forget about it, because that would actually very much shorten the life of it. I mean, we did that, we'd run it for a month and it'd be done. It would be broken. We have to buy a new burn chamber and do the whole bit. So we run it on hot.
Happen to other people. And so because of that, it's coming on and off. And literally, I'll be sitting there so cold, and then I'll turn it on. It gets so warm, and then I have to turn it off. And literally, the temperature will drop, 8 degrees within a matter of I don't know, 30 minutes. That might be an exaggeration. 4 or 5 degrees. It gets when it's cold in here. So
well, especially when if the curtain's drawn, that doesn't happen. But when the curtain's not drawn, the windows would dissipate the heat very quickly. They also bring heat in very quickly. And there are times on sunny days where it's been literally freezing outside, but we don't have the heater on at all, because if we're facing the sun, that sun comes in here and gives us a lot of that solar warmth through the wind. We don't have to run the heater at all.
Yeah, it is amazing how much sunlight makes a difference, and the wind. And last week it was extremely windy. So that's just been a little different, regulating the temperature in here. It was so bad one day last week. The wind was like 40 miles an hour. I was I didn't leave the van. I was like, I'm not going in there. I think I went early in the morning once. I was like, I'm not leaving the van. I'm not showering. I'm not doing anything. It was too cold. I just was like, forget it.
It was a strong wind.
Yeah.
It was gusting up to 50, 60 miles an hour.
I didn't want to walk outside with a wet head. And so anyway, that's how much I hate the cold. So that's been interesting. And besides regulating the temperature, the next thing is regulating our power source. So you probably can explain that better than me.
Yeah, that's probably been the biggest, I wouldn't say hurdle, but our biggest adjustment has been dealing with the power. Because we have a very big power bank. We have 600 amp hours of lithium batteries there, which is a pretty big power bank. And all the time that we were traveling part-time, it was never an issue. Never, not even close. But we're using full-time now, we aren't driving as much. Because we're sticking around our hometown a lot closer and a lot more often, waiting for our time, hopefully early next year, to head west. We're not doing a lot of driving, and driving is the biggest thing that recharges the batteries here. So we're not doing that. I mean, we probably don't even do an hour a day. And people who commute for work will often, do that or more. We're not doing that, and so we're not getting that constant recharge that would happen with a lot of driving. And so we're constantly having to worry about our power being low because, and the other thing that has affected that is Kelly's work setup is very different from what we had originally envisaged would be the case when we work remotely from the van. We had ideas that she'd have a laptop and, that would be it and be fine. And if that was the case, we'd have no issues because a laptop does not draw that much power in order to charge it. But it's not the case. As I'm sure you guys have seen in our last video, Kelly's got a big two big monitors, and she's got a desktop, actual computer. So those things draw power. And then when you add on top of that the Starlink, we get a lot of power draw from that. And that is drawing a lot when we don't have a lot to give because we're always so low to begin with, because we're not driving. And that's why a few weeks ago we decided to try and do an overnight stint at an RV park down by the beach. We showed you that, I think. And that was designed to top up our battery bank, giving it a full charge overnight so that we could then have a better use of that battery charge over the week. And that helps. But we had that issue, again, I think it's probably 2 or 3 videos ago, if you've seen it, where we had the reverse polarity light coming on. I won't get into all that, what that means, but I fixed that now. We don't have that reverse polarity light coming on. And I've tried other means to get a charge on us. And we'll continue to experiment. But that is probably one of our biggest challenges and adjustments at the moment is the power.
And the induction stove pulls and seems to pull.
It does, but thankfully it's only for short periods of time. That hasn't really been a huge impact. The biggest impact has been the fact that Kelly is literally sitting here 8 hours a day with all these, appliances that are used to being plugged into mains power. So they're fairly power hungry. They're not power conscious at all. So they're pretty power hungry. And so those things are sitting here drawing all this power every single day. And we're still learning how to cope with that. We've got things that we're doing. We've had some strategies that we're using, and we've got a couple of new ones that we're going to be trying to. But that has been a big issue for us. We haven't run out of power, but we've had a couple of times where it's been close and that the inverter has kicked off because it's too low to convert the power, which is around 12.5 volts roughly.
So what I usually do, especially if he isn't here, we just turn the engine on and then it'll recharge, and then we let it run for 30 minutes and it gets up back over 13. The other day, it happened a lot. So I just have to, I'm sitting here anyway, but I have to constantly be mindful of the numbers. So that's definitely new. That was something we never
anticipated because we have a big battery bank. And we have a couple of options to solve that permanently, not worry about it. We could increase the size of our battery bank. I could put another 3 or 4 batteries back there. We could have 1 kilowatt of power. But those batteries are almost $1,000 a piece. It's not really a viable solution for us, at least not in the short term. So, I mean, it would certainly help solve things to almost double our battery power, but that's a very expensive way of doing it. So we're looking at other ways of doing it and putting other strategies in place, like starting the van if we have to. But again, that's kind of a last resort. We don't like to do that. But we've got some other things we'll try out, and I'll probably show you as I do them just to see if they work and give you guys a kind of an update on it as we go.
Another subject would be cooking. Like, I do miss having, the ability to do a lot of food prep. So we have to shop more frequently. And, like that salad I made earlier, it was from a bag. It's organic, but, just making modifications like that. Now, you don't have an oven to do prep. You can't really store a lot of food. So that's just been a little bit different because a lot of times when we would travel before, I would do a lot of food prep before we left and have everything made. So now it's like your limited space, smaller containers, even washing fruit and vegetables that takes water, having, other pans. Like I use pans as bowls most of the time to mix things. And um,
That's a smart move.
and then when you watch something, you do all the suds on that, but then you rinse it off, use some water, and you just learn ways to try to make everything spread out as much. And like if we run out of water, which we have done, like it trips something and then the fuse is blown and then he has to go in and fix the fuse. So I'm always worried about running out of water. And I'm always like, did you check the water? Did you check the water? And then now I'm like the water Nazi. Like, I'm like, put the flow down, you're flowing the water too hard.
Now, we do have a limited water. We have 50 gallons of fresh water on board, which for vans this size is huge. And with that said, our water lasts us, especially now currently because we are showering at gyms and things, 10 days, 2 weeks. So we have a lot of water. It's not that big of a deal. Doesn't impact us that much. But we are water conscious. Some of us extremely so. And we do try and watch it, and we watch our usage of it. And so we have to certainly use water differently than we would in a home environment. In a home environment, you would think nothing of just turning that water on full and washing all your vegetables and doing all that kind of stuff. Well, that's fine. In a home environment, 10 gallons to do that, you don't even blink at that. Like it's nothing, But here, 10 gallons, like that might be 3 days worth of water. So there's a big difference in terms of how we use water because of that. And, that affects things like our cooking. It affects things that we do, even from hygiene standpoint. We do things a little differently, We never sit here and have the water running while we're brushing our teeth. Just there are things that are different. But I think we have been pleasantly surprised on the whole with how long the water does last. Because initially I was thinking, especially like if it's summer and we're actually showering here in the van or even in the outdoor shower, if we're using the water from the van to shower, I'm thinking, oh gosh, like every 4 days you might have to have them fill up. But certainly now when it's cold and we're showering at the gym, that's not the case. We have plenty of water and it lasts us a good while.
I've been a little preoccupied with that. But
she does get a bit upset because there was one instance where we did run out and we didn't blow a fuse. What happens is the water pump just continues to run. And it's possible long-term it could burn out the pump, but we're always onto it pretty quick. But it means I have to pull the fuse for the water pump so the water pump doesn't continue to run because it's a pressure-sensitive water pump. So when it senses the pressure goes down because you have a tap turned on, it'll automatically kick on. So the only way to turn it off is to pull its fuse. And we had to do that once, and again, it wasn't that big of a deal. Obviously, it traumatized Kelly with regards to water.
I don't know how to do it. That's what I'm worried about.
But it's not that big of a deal. But we do, with all that said, we do try to be water conscious.
Like one of our biggest things is Sophie. Like she's our big concern and priority where we go and things we do. And
I don't know if you can see her. She's napping back there, happy as Larry. She's bugged us for food. It's nice and warm in here. She's curled up there on the bed. She's perfectly content.
But she loves to lay in the sun and be outside. And it's so funny because this past week she would go out and do her business and be like running back to the van or like stopping and sitting down to put her bottom down, like, because she doesn't like the cold and the wind either.
Yeah.
But she's getting a lot more exercise lately, and we've noticed that she looks a little thinner. Like we can see some of her ribs a little more. So we've increased her food intake a little bit to try to
put some fat on those bones.
Yeah, because she's up, looking and attentive and sitting in the front seat and not taking as many naps. And when Josh is here,
she gets a lot more walks with me.
He just takes her out.
Yeah.
It's our first holidays too, so that's been a little different. Not finding alternative ways to enjoy the holidays, and just not being in your home. And making the things or being able to, you know.
We have no Christmas tree here in the van. None.
We didn't even decorate in there.
I'm okay with that.
But I mean, we still like enjoy Thanksgiving. We found alternative things to do, and we'll still see
We certainly
family. It's
enjoy
just-
ourselves
just
the
not
holidays,
the
just
traditional.
in slightly different ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you got? You got a many-page list here. Choose the highlights.
Okay. I think time. I felt like moving to a van, we would be like have endless time on our hands. And I did also adjust to a full-time job at the same time. And my job is one that keeps me seated at my desk. I mean, I'm a triage nurse. It's very intense. You know, there's a lot of communication, a lot of layers. Always have to be available. Like if they communicate, if somebody calls in with active chest pain, somebody has, you have to take it. And so you're always just there. Like, and if you go to lunch, you say that you're away or tell them like you're waiting, or call or whatever. And it's not like, you can walk away and from your desk. Like I'm even like, you just barely go to the bathroom, honestly. So, that is new and restrictive, but I think it's like sometimes we get done at the end of the day and we have to go get gas and then we'll go here, go there. And just like the everyday, what do we call it? Like the daily things that you would do, shower and all that, and finding a place to do it and to go. I just feel like those things take longer to do. And,
it does take more time.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I just envisioned us having like endless time. We have to clean at a high frequency, like several times. I mean, Sophie shakes her head.
Not ourselves, the van.
We keep our.
We don't have to do it with a high frequency. I don't take 3 showers a day.
No, but it's frequent, but it doesn't take long either. But like, there's just so much dust in here. You open up the drawers, the sink, the counters. Like it's just with her, and just I think because the fans are open, and it's you don't have protection like you would in a home necessarily.
Yeah, and it's not a spread out. So I mean, it does, and we do clean it pretty regularly, 2 or 3 times a day. But it literally takes like 2 minutes. It doesn't take very long. So, and that's a nice surprise. That not necessarily a surprise. We knew that was going to be the case, but it just doesn't take long to clean up. Like just bang, 2 minutes, and you're pretty clean. Things are pretty tidy and all that with a very short period of time. Time in other ways is a bigger issue, as Kelly talked about. Just doing sort of daily, everyday tasks, whether it be hygiene or otherwise, takes a lot more time. But there's also a little bit of there's a distinct pleasure in having to work for and put effort into the basics of life. When you're in a home, you don't. You turn on a switch, there's power. You turn on the water, it's there. Hot water, cold water, whatever. You want to go to the bathroom, it's there. You want to have a shower, it's there. You want a big comfy bed, it's there. You need a washing machine, it's all there. All those things we have to work for. We have to go someplace to do it. We have to manage it in some way. And it takes a lot more time. But there's also a pleasure in that. There's a fundamental pleasure in those foundational aspects of life that you have to work for them. And
unless it's 40-mile-an-hour winds and nothing about it is pleasurable. I'm just saying it is not.
I like it.
So I'll be happy when it's 80 and I'll be like,
so hot, the fan's up.
But it does make you appreciate and realize what's important. Just learning to live with less, less clothing. Space has been a little bit of an issue. Like my work setup is bigger than we anticipated. So we leave it set up during the week. So we leave our table where I'm sitting it would be. And then we take it down on the weekend. So give the table a break and just have the equipment put away. But it's winter, so we have piles of coats and, other accessories, hats and boots and gloves and all that. So
big bulky stuff.
Yeah. So you always have to constantly move to find what you need. But I think, when we were traveling before, we packed a lot less because it was just seeing the volume of stuff in the storage and what we have to do. But we've made several trips back to the storage unit, getting rid of some things and, scaling down. Well, look, are you giving me the side eye?
No, we're definitely doing that. Some of us more than others.
I'm taking baby steps in that area. I think once we go out west, and I know we won't have access to the storage, I'm really going to scale down. Plus, like I was saying to Josh, like I feel like I want to have things on me, and like because we're always together, I don't make plans. It's the end of the day when I get done work. We have things to do to take care of just basic stuff, and it's like it's been harder to, I don't know, like make plans or just get out of my own way. It feels like sometimes. And he pointed out to me, he thinks it's just because we're here in the same place doing the same thing in our town. And I think we'll have to update you once we do get out west and just live in life and drive and like stay in different places. I think it's going to be totally different, which is why I wanted to kind of talk about some of the adjustments. Because I remember, we watch videos for years and still do watch other people in their van life. And sometimes it's good to know the backstory and kind of what it's like and what they're experiencing. We try to capture some of it, but it's hard to.
Yeah, it is. But I think things will change significantly for us in terms of a lot of these issues when we are actually traveling, not just living in a van, but traveling. Because being that we're pretty much in one location or near one location all the time, affects some of these things. It affects our power. It affects our outlook on where we are. And it means we're having these constant interactions like we would normally have at a home, but we're having them from the van. As you know, my mom passed a few weeks ago, and everything to do with that funeral, the arrangements and the family meetings and all the rest of it, we're doing from the van as opposed to from house. And that adds a whole different layer to that dimension of not only of grief, but of dealing with the logistics of that. And so those things will kind of go away when we're traveling. We're not going to have family members that we're going to be meeting up with all the time or having to deal with or having to do other sorts of responsibilities. Those are going to go. We're just going to travel. And that will hopefully have a positive effect on this mindset she's talking about, but also on other sort of practical things, like our power. If we're driving more, we'll hopefully have more power and that'll be less of an issue. Those kind of things. But for now, there are things that we've noticed. They are not issues, but just things that have come to mind based on currently how we're living in the van. So it is.
We're excited still to be here.
Oh, we still love it.
Happy for the opportunity, but it just, I think
different in some ways than what we initially expected.
Some things are easier, some things are harder than I anticipated, but overall, it's fine.
She hasn't even murdered me yet. We're all good. We are still enjoying it. We love it. And hopefully this has answered some of your questions, because we do get questions about this stuff all the time, about is it what we expected and what are things we find difficult or what things are easier. So we get those questions all the time. So we thought we'd do this little bit of a I guess, reflective feedback time on the 3 months that we've been in it. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've maybe learned some stuff and understand what we do and how we do things now a little bit more. And we do thank you for tuning in and for listening to us rambling on here a little bit about some of these things. But they are definitely things that are impacting us in our lives, and we thought we'd share them with you. If
there's something that you'd like to know and we haven't answered, just let us know.
Put it in the comments. Put a question down there. We'll see if we can't get to it and answer it on video or in writing, one or the other. But in the meantime, we thank you for watching and for coming along, and we'll see you out there.
See you out there.